So listen, no one tells you this about midlife. But once you realize what's really happening, everything changes. I hear it all the time from folk. They say, "Uh, I've spent my whole life working hard, doing all the right things. So why does it feel like I don't even recognize myself anymore?" Or I'll hear, "I thought I'd have it all figured out by now, by this age, but I don't." Or sometimes even myself would say, "I did everything I was supposed to do, checked all the boxes. So why do I feel like something's missing?" And let me tell you, those feelings are not just in your head, they real. Because midlife isn't just another chapter, it's a transition, a life transition that no one prepares us for. Everywhere we look, in the media, workplaces, even our own families, we're told that midlife is about slowing down. Like we should shrink ourselves, play it safe, or accept that our best years are behind us. But here's what nobody talks about. Midlife is a turning point. Now, a turning point is the moment when things shift, when you either choose to stay where you are or step into something new. Some see it as a signal to slow down, to shrink, to fade in the background. Others see it as a moment to step forward, to reinvent, to create what's next. So the way you see it determines everything. Now, you can let midlife happen to you, or you can decide what comes next. Now, let me tell you, you don't have to start over. You don't have to throw away everything you've built, but you do have to decide, are you going to settle for what's familiar, or are you ready to create something that finally feels right? Today, I will give you your ultimate guide to midlife reinvention, why this turning point matters, why no one talks about it, and how to take control of your next chapter with confidence. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just think differently about midlife. You'll know exactly how to control what's next. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. There's advice everywhere on how to start a career. You can Google it, on how to plan for retirement, how to parent or raise children. You can find guidance and books and even mentors for those transitions. Midlife, on the other hand, is only talked about in terms of decline, slowing down, or crisis, never as a stage of reinvention. We spend decades following a roadmap. We work hard, we care for others, we do the right things, but no one tells us what to do when we reach this point of midlife. Our 40s, late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So we wake up one day and think, well, now what? Where's the conversation for this part of life? And the truth is, there isn't one. Not because midlife doesn't matter, but because we were never taught how to navigate it. Now, I remember back in high school, when I was back in high school, we had home ec and shop. Girls learned how to cook and clean and take care of a home, and boys learned how to fix things, and cars and things, build things, fix things, cars. Now, but I want to tell you, even though I had to sign, and you had to sign up for one or the other, and even though I really didn't need home ec, because I'm gonna tell you, every Saturday, my mom had made sure that I cleaned the house from top to bottom, scrubbing toilets, washing floors, dusting every inch. My friends, all of us had Saturday chores. That was the thing. I I was getting trained. We were being prepared. And then I went on to get an education. I took courses, studied, learned about leadership, business, and the world. But nowhere, not in school, not in college, not anywhere, was I ever taught how to navigate midlife. When I reached 50, half a century, no one prepared me for the unexpected weight gain, the gray hairs. You don't see none in here, do you? The hormonal changes. Oh my gosh, menopause, perimenopause. I didn't even know what those perimenopause was. No one prepared me for the uncertainty of what's next when you've checked all the boxes. The caregiving, the role reversal, taking care of the people like your parents who once took care of you, the losses. I know when my husband, we were married 40 years, and when he passed in my 60s, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to deal with that loss. And I know you've had losses that shake you to your core. You weren't prepared, probably. I wasn't prepared. And when it happened, when I got there, that stuff threw me for a loop. Somewhere along the way, something in me said, okay, you got to learn this. You got to study this. You got to grab this. You got to figure this out. So I did. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy at all. But that's exactly why we're here today, so that you don't have to figure this out alone. And I'm just very passionate about sharing all that I learned through this midlife process, where in midlife, every time those losses or transitions or new things, I've moved 8 times in my life. I've run local and national organizations. I've moved in one organization, multi-million dollar organization. I moved and was in 8 different increasingly responsible positions until I came to be the president and CEO. I transitioned from that nonprofit successful career to running my own business in my late 60s. And every one of those transitions, including becoming a widow and then becoming a single woman, in every transition, I found I had to reinvent myself. And much of that took place in my late 40s, 50s, 60s, okay, in that midlife. And that's why I talk about this. And the real problem is that no one prepared us for what happens when the roles we play start to shift. Now, what's missing, the truths that and I'm speaking to my sisters in particular, though I know you brothers out there, men, y'all go through the same thing too. Um, but particularly for women, the truths that should have been told us but weren't. Let's look at them. The first one, that midlife isn't about slowing down, it's about waking up. We should have been told. We've been told that midlife was the beginning of the end. But for so many women, it's actually the first time. They stop and ask, what do I really want? What excites me now? Why do I need to feel fulfilled? Now, nobody talks about it like that because questioning your life, especially as a woman, makes people uncomfortable. Another thing we should have been told about but weren't, the life that used to fit might not fit anymore as you get into your 50s and turn half a century. You worked hard to build a life that feels good, makes sense. But what happens when it stops making sense or feeling good? When the career that once excited you now drains you? When the routines that felt stable now feel limiting? When you wake up one morning and look at your partner and say, another 20, 30 years with you? We're going to talk about real now. But nobody talks about it because admitting that you want more or something different, especially for women, goes against everything we were taught about gratitude and stability, feeling secure. Let me know what you think about these things that we weren't talking about. Drop a comment or leave me some questions because I'm going to take some questions at the end of this conversation. But I want to continue with this real talk, okay? Another thing we should have been told about midlife but weren't, midlife reinvention, if you want to reinvent yourself in midlife, isn't about starting over. It's about building on what you already have. Now, see, reinvention sounds overwhelming because mostly because people think it means wiping the slate absolutely clean. Okay. But it doesn't. In fact, it's really the opposite. It means taking everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, and making it work for who you are now. Now, why don't people talk about that? Because society really loves stories of young people, young prodigies, and fresh starts, but not the stories of women rewriting the rules after 50. And now, there's one other truth here that I want to share that women should have been told about but weren't. And that is, you don't have to have it all figured out to take the next step. Now, most of us wait until we have a perfect plan or it's the right time before we make a move. I did it, for a long, 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 long time. I wanted to run my own business. I really did. But I put it off and I questioned my stuff, and then I didn't feel I had this or that or this. Tons, tons of looking back excuses. Um, and I just wanted everything perfect and in order and being the right time. And that ended up with me waiting not making the move until my late 60s. One thing I learned is that clarity does come with action, and that I didn't need to see the whole road. I just needed to take the first couple of steps, and I did. But why don't people tell us that? Why don't they talk about that? Because, see, we were raised to believe that success comes from certainty, not trial and error. And it does. Success is often messy. And if you think back on your life, on your career, stuff wasn't easy. You had to learn a whole lot. You had to solve bunches of problems. It'd be real messy. But look at where you are. and what you've achieved, the experiences and how successful you are, the achievements you've made, etc. That's where the success comes from. So the myth that we're told that we have to have it all figured out, it is just that. It's a lie. It's not true. And midlife reinvention doesn't have to be a mystery. And I'm going to walk you through it. Now, I want to stop here and ask, did you feel or are you prepared for midlife? Drop a yes if you are, or if you felt it, but a question mark if you still trying to figure it out. Yes. And if you want some help in trying to figure it out, I have a free guide, Reinventing After 50, that is a strategic action plan. So if you wonder where to start, it's a step-by-step action plan to help you move forward without having to start over. So if I'll leave a link, and there's a QR code for you too. Now, midlife reinvention doesn't have to be a mystery. I want you to think about it as a process, okay? And when you have a process, you don't have to figure out everything at once. You just have to take the next step or the steps. So I'm going to break it down and give you some steps on how you can actually start and, start creating that what next. Um, and I want you to, I want you to take some notes if you want, but those of you on the replay, you can have the replay, but you can go back on the replay. You know how you do that, and you stop and you pause and go back. So I want you to do that, but I want you to keep these steps in mind now, because this is going to help you get started, because we're talking about the guide here. And again, I want you to remember, if you want, a strategic plan, you want to do that planning to help you understand that it's not a mystery. I dive deep into these exact steps that you can take step by step in my Reinvention at 50 strategic plan. There's a link and a code for it. All right. The first step, now this is essential. On the first step, you got to shift your mindset. Before anything else, you have to shift how you see midlife. So if you're looking at it as a problem, or, oh my gosh, I've lived half a century or more, I'm in it, this is a problem. But if you see it that way, every decision you make is going to come from fear. Okay? And that's the one thing we want to reduce. We want to reduce that fear. But if you see it as a turning point, okay, as an opportunity, you start making choices based on possibility. So here's an action step I want you to take. Write down one belief that you have about midlife that's keeping you stuck. Okay. Then, so you just write that down. Then I want you to rewrite it as something empowering. That's what I did when I decided to step out in that scary world of entrepreneurship, running my own business. Okay. Late in life, I would, in my head, my mindset was, it's too late for me to start something new. So I had to reframe that into, I have decades of experience that make me more valuable than ever at any age. And so I had to write it down, and I had to say it over and over again until now, and I believe it. Okay. The second step I want you to do is get clear on what's next. I mean, I want you to define what success means for you. because you really can't move forward if you don't know where you're going. And so often the reason so many women feel stuck is they've never taken the time to sit down and think about, well, for this stage of life, what does success look like for me? And I know in my own experience, the definition of success shifted. But before, it was about a lot about accomplishing these achievements, and I'm all good with that. Don't get me wrong. This is not about, you know didn't want to do those things. I'm not happy. I'm not. I'm grateful. I'm all of that for that. But as I got in the half a century of my life plus and started thinking about things, it was less about achieving and more about self actualizing. That there was deeper stuff, there was purpose, there were things I always wanted to do, passions I wanted to discover, things I wanted to say, except it became more about that. And so the action step that I want you to take is to ask yourself, what do I actually want now? Not what I was told to want, not what I wanted 20 years ago, but what excites me today. Write it down and be honest. The third step that I want you to take as we talk through this guide to reinventing yourself in your 50s in midlife is you got to build on what you already have. Okay. Your experience is an asset. You don't need to start over. You already have everything you need, or at least most of it. You have to use it differently. Okay. And view it in a different perspective. I remember I spent years, I mean, one of my skills was problem solving. And do you know? And so I did that in my nonprofit career, running organizations and mentoring hundreds and hundreds of folk and doing a lot of community transformation work. And all of it, a lot of it was problem solving. Well, when I was kind of thinking, well, what do I have now that's going to give me experience or the skills to run a business? I thought, well, I've been running these organizations. They like small businesses, and I've been problem solving all the time. Well, the one thing we know about running a business, every day you got a problem. And so my problem solving skills, I just thought about it differently. It was same skills, but applied to a different situation because the profit making world is different than the nonprofit world. But the problem solving skill, I could use in both places. So the thing I want you to do is to make a list of 5 skills, strengths, or experiences you already have. Okay. And then look at that list and ask, how can I use these in a new way? Okay. The fourth step I want you to take is a biggie, but it's about small moves. And that is go on and take the first step. And it might be a small step, but them small steps be adding up to big changes. Um, and many people totally wait for clarity before they take action. Now, I believe in being clear and working on that and thinking about that. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But I know a lot of clarity comes from action, that is, doing it and learning it, making the mistakes, experiencing it, then reflecting on it and say, oh, yeah, I'm clear about that now. You might not have been at first, but you clear about that now because you've been through some stuff. Okay. So it's important for you to take those first steps, even though they might be small. So the thing I want you to do is to choose one small action you can take this week toward what you want. It could be a conversation, you could take a class, you can book a call with me. The key is to start. Mhm. Start. The fifth step to this ultimate guide to how you can reinvent yourself uh, in your 50s, after 50s, 60s, my 40s friends out there. I want you to be prepared. And my baby boomers in your late 50s, 60s, 70s is to have a game plan. Why? Because reinvention is designed. And yeah, it takes work and effort, and you got to think about it. It just doesn't come because you got this beautiful vision. And you know, I'm a big believer in them vibrant visions. But a vision without a game plan is just daydreaming. Okay. So you need a road map, something, and without the roadmap, a year from now, you're going to be in the same place. Okay. So you need this map, this guide, that some goals and milestones and steps, and more importantly, strategy. And what a lot of people don't talk about in the game plan is you need to identify your resources, the people who are going to support you, all of those things in a game plan. And you know, that's what I specialize in. So if any of you again want to work with me to develop your game plan to reinvent yourself, you know, you just give me a call. There's a link below. But that's what you need. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about what you can do in the next 90 days. So, what milestone would you want to hit? Who's in your support system? How will you stay accountable? So, you want to create this game plan because, again, remember, reinvention is designed. Okay, just don't fall out the sky. Okay, and the sixth step, you may be surprised that this is on the list. I've had people say to me at first blush, Dr. Geneva, I didn't think you put this on a guide to reinvent yourself. But the sixth step is I want you to find joy in the process. Reinvention doesn't have to be exhausting. And you know what? If it ain't exciting, you ain't going to be able to sustain it. Because it's work and it's effort. But you know, work and effort and joy can exist in the same space. They're not mutually exclusive. Okay. So I really want you to focus on finding joy. And you know, finding and giving joy is part of my next steps framework, which is the process that I use to coach women leaders and entrepreneurs and executives. And that's a very important um, piece of the framework that I teach. And that is the importance of finding and giving joy. So, as we think about reinvention in our 50s and 60s and 70s, joy cometh. We got to find it. We got to make sure we have it. So, the one thing I want you to do is this week, I want you to figure out one thing that brings you joy and make sure you do it. Okay. Because this isn't just about work or goals, it's about building a life that you actually want to wake up to every morning. Okay. And the reason that I teach about finding and giving joy besides all of the great health benefits, um, and helping in terms of your longevity and your mental health and all of that. um, but the process of finding and giving joy brings meaning and purpose into your life. And when we're in midlife, that becomes important to us. I know in my 20s and 30s, I wasn't really thinking a lot about purpose. What's my purpose in life? What's my meaning? I probably didn't think about it that much. But trust, when you get to be 50, 60, 70, that matters, that purpose. So this process of finding and giving joy helps in that. And that's why I included in all my conversations about what we need to do in midlife. Okay. So now let's just, so what have I been talking about? So if you've been waiting for the right time to reinvent, let me tell you, this is it. Let's start. Reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. It's about stepping fully into who you've always been. It's not a breakdown. Midlife, it ain't, people tell you it's a crisis, a decline, a breakdown. It's not, it's a breakthrough. And it starts with simple steps. So, what's yours? Let me know in the comments. And if you have questions, I'm going to be taking them in just a few moments. So, if you have questions, please make sure that you put them in the chat. How are we going? Yes, I see we've got a couple of questions. Okay. So let me just say that we started this conversation with a simple truth. Midlife isn't talked about the way it should be. It's either ignored or painted as a slow fade, a decline. But now you know better. Midlife isn't a crisis, it's a turning point. And what happens next? That depends on how you see it. Because if you believe it's the beginning of the end, you'll make those choices that will keep you stuck and won't give you a life of vibrancy. But if you see it for really what it is, it's an opening, a chance to design what's next. If you see it that way, then everything changes. And don't we want to live as long as we can? Because let me tell you, with the advances in technology and medicine, we are going to have much longer lives than our parents or grandparents did. And so we want to not only live longer, but live vibrantly. And so many of us will live, once we hit 50, many of us will live another 30, 40, even 50 years longer. So what you waiting for? We got to design. This is an opening, a chance to design what's next. And that's why I wanted to give you this process. Reinvention is not a mystery, it's a series of steps, but knowing the steps isn't enough. You have to believe it's possible for you. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Because if you don't shift your mindset, all the strategies in the world won't matter. So, our next conversation, my next live, the next video is going to be all about how to stop seeing midlife as something that happens to you and start taking control of it. So I'm going to be giving you techniques for shifting your mindset, for reframing the conversation so you can take action. That's coming up next week in our next video. So tell me, what's one thing today that you're going to act on? Drop it in the chat. I so much have enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to answer your questions. I want to make sure you all know, my book is out. It's on Amazon. Run over there. Do I have it this way? There you go. Run over to Amazon. Hey, grab a copy. Living Life Over 50, Secrets to Finding Love, Your Vibrant Style, and What's Next for You. I just had so much fun updating this. I put it together 5, 6 years, but so much has happened to me in my life. And the women that I've coached have shared so much with me and much more valuable information and insights. So go on over to Amazon and grab yourself a copy. And so let's see what questions that we have. Do we have, let me see, questions. Thank you, Karina, who always is here, my producer who just helps moderate things. And I see we have, okay. Okay, here's a question. I feel like I should be grateful for what I have. Is it selfish to want more? So I'm going to answer that question yes and no. So the first part is the yes. I feel like I should be grateful for what I have. And that's a yes. You should be. And gratitude journal, write things down, write every night, every day before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. It'll help focus you on all you have, the abundance that you have, and what you should be grateful for. So that's the yes part of it. The second part of it is is it selfish to want more? My answer is no on that. Why not want more for yourself? That's the first thing. Why not? Just ask yourself that question. Why can't I want more for myself? Mm. We oftentimes, particularly as women, we've been socialized. It's real. Our daughters won't be, and our daughters won't be. I know that, but we're moving out of that phase where we were socialized that, you know, sit there, be grateful, work hard. You'll be noticed if you work hard. That's all you have to do. Learn the basics, but don't want more. And that, we're turning that on its head. You wanting more is just that signal that you want to self-actualize, that you want to give more. That's what I believe, that you want to give more joy, that you want to find more joy, that you want to create a bigger impact for yourself and for others. So, no, I don't think it's selfish at all. Go ahead and do it and follow the steps that I talked about and get your guide, the strategic action plan guide that I put together, because that takes you through a series of exercises where you'll not only see and recognize the things that you have in abundance, but you'll also be able to figure out what you want next and how you can get your more. Okay. So, do we have any other questions? Um, I'm not over 50 from TikTok. Okay. My TikTok family. I'm not over 50, but I always had admiration for women who are older. Is there a way to prepare? Well, I, thank you so much. And my TikTok viewer, you'll be getting to that stage. So you want to be the woman that people admire as well. So I so much appreciate that conversation. And yes, you can prepare some of the things I've talked about, but there's a couple things I particularly want you to pay attention to. One is I want you to prepare by investing in your physical development. Okay. I want you to be healthy. I want you to work out. I want you to move. I want you to develop your body so that you're running, so that you're taking care of yourself, so that your physical development is good. Okay. So that's one thing I want you to do. And one of the tips that I'll give you is strength training. I think I'm going to do a video on that. Lifting weights, all of the research is talking about that. That is that's one of the most single things that you can do to condition your body, to prepare your body, to make sure that you're healthy later on. So, again, please invest some time, energy in your physical development. And then the second thing is, as you're preparing for midlife, skincare. Yeah, yeah. I like to make sure the women that I work with understand that the investments that we make in taking care of our skin, making sure that it's clean, that we take off our makeup every night, that we use sunscreen no matter if the sun is out or not, and that we drink plenty of water, that we're taking care of our skin. Because as we age, we want our skin to be vibrant, even with the wrinkles. Having skin that is fresh and vibrant matters. So, those are just two little things that you can do to prepare. And another is keep following and watching me, because I'm going to be talking all about it all the time. Thank you for that question. Um, any more questions that we have for today? Do you think I should shy away from dating at 72? Well, you know what? You asking, well, at first I was going to say you asking the wrong person. You know that saying we say, you asking the wrong. No, you asking the right person about that. That's why you need to get this book. Okay. Dating at 72? Age don't matter. You still here, you still alive, you still got passion, you still got feelings. Age doesn't have an expiration date for finding and falling in love. Okay. And I can speak to this. I had a beautiful, fabulous, up and down roller coaster marriage of 40 years. And I went through some stuff. You can't be married for 40 years without going through some stuff, okay? And staying together happy. And I'd still be married if cancer hadn't taken him. And after he passed, I became a widow. And I had all of these conceptions about what it meant to be a widow. And I didn't know that there was a stage after that, that when you're ready, after widowhood, you become a single woman. I didn't realize that stage. And so now I'm a single woman, which means I make my own decisions about everything. I'm independent. I'm finding new passions, and I am dating. And when you find that special one, if you find that, because dating itself is fun in and of itself. And then you might find a special one. It is all about life and joy. So, girl, don't ask me the question about whether or not it's too late to date at 72. Never too late. Okay? Hey, get my book. Okay. Okay, I don't know if we have other questions and what's our time. Oh, we got a few more minutes. Do we have other time? Other questions? Oh, okay. What advice do you have a 31-year-old new mom married? I'm not sure I understand the question, but if you're asking, as a 31-year-old and you're newly married and a mother, what can you do about your life? Well, let me say a couple things, and I'm not sure that that's what and so you can listen, follow me. I'm on all social media platforms at Dr. Geneva Speaks. Come over to my YouTube channel, drop the question in. Please, you can join my email community. I can answer these questions for you as well. But if that's what you're talking about, maybe you're not fully motivated. I get it. Um, when I was early 30s, I was married and a mom and had a career. And there were times where I didn't know if I was coming or going. And most of the times I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. Um, but there were times when I did feel like I didn't know what to do next. The things that I talked about in terms of reinventing in your 50s, some of them you can do right now because you can reinvent at any age. I think there's some three basics. One, figure out what it is that you want to do. See if you can create a vision. Two, get yourself a game plan. What are the steps that I need to do to accomplish whatever it is I want to do? And three, you got to believe in yourself. You have to find the ways to dig deep and believe in yourself that you can do the things that you want to do. You can find the joy. Again, we talked about the things that I talked about in this guide for after 50. Replay that and find some things that can work for you right now in your 30s, because reinvention does really not know an age limitation. And things like figuring out what your skills are, deciding what it is that you want in life, finding joy, investing now in your health and your physical development. All of those things work. Okay, well, I think we're almost out of time, but I just want to make sure, Karina, I want to make sure that I just say hello, a special hello if I haven't. I did say hi to Regina and the Feminine Guru who are with us. Tanya, Tanara from Michelle, and everyone. I just wanted to say hello to you again. Tanara, thank you for joining. And oh, you took wood shop, metalworking, and photography. Yeah, and I'm sure those skills help you today. Yeah. And so I just wanted to say hello. I think we're out of time. Tran, how are you? Thank you for joining. And Michelle, hey, we all still trying to figure it out, aren't we? I hope what I talked about today, Michelle, was valuable and will help you out. Again, I'm doing a series on this in Women's History Month on specifically reinventing yourself after 50. So please watch me on, go over to YouTube. I'm hoping many of you go over to YouTube and check me out over there, but I'm on all platforms. And see, I'm an example myself. You heard me say I started my business in my late 60s now. So you all can add and figure it out. And I'm working with this technology, learning stuff. Grandchildren help, the young people help me, etc. You can do it, everybody. We all can do it. Okay, so thank you all so much. I love the comments. Any questions that you all have, I want to make sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you joined, and good morning to you as well. It's such a delight um, to see you. Happy New Year to you. I don't know if I've seen you since the new year began, though I know you join me in these conversations. How's business, insurance business going for you? Good to see you. Okay, I do believe that we are out of time. Out of town. Yeah, out of town. It's all right. I've been how long I've been talking. It's all right. Okay, I'm here. Get it? Living life over 50. Amazon. When I launched it in 2018, it was an Amazon bestseller. This is updated. So I hope you'll go on over there and grab a copy. I love y'all. Thank you for joining today. Again, next week we're going to be talking about shifting that mindset so that and my young friend, the 31-year-old from TikTok, who asked the question and was a married young mom, mindset, how you think, how you see things is very important. So in our next video, I'm going to be teaching you how to um, make those mindset shifts, how you can reframe things so that you can be at your best. Okay, so join me next week. Love you all. Mwah!